Mr. Rex, how are you? Have you survived the past 24 hours in ETHDenver typical price nuke?
No.
Oh, shoot, man.
I went to bed last night thinking that my generations looking down upon me are just disappointed, and then I woke up this morning to fat wallets of Squid.
See, like it's like they say, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, it sucks for 99% of the people out there who are just holding ETH. And you were talking a bit about it before the live stream. Like, when you actually like talk with people, like talking with Thomas yesterday, so bullish. Like everything that Ethereum's been trying to do, it's being fulfilled. The institutions are coming. It's like an amazing time. And then price nukes. Doesn't make any sense to me.
By the way, just turn your text notifications off. But
I'm trying.
Yeah, man. But of course, let's never talk before streaming again, because I'm going to say the same stuff. But like especially the last 2 days, I've been so bullish on our space. And like that started with when I saw you at Stable Summit, and like hearing at Stable Summit, it was like the talk that really just like kind of changed my view. It was somebody from PayPal, somebody from Stripe, someone from like Fireblocks, someone from, I think, Parify, whatever. The important ones were Stripe and PayPal. And like the thing that I was like, holy shit, like things are about to go nuts, was I believe PayPal announced that they, as of like this week, they had paid an invoice to EY, which is their auditor, or their accounting firm. They had paid an invoice to EY using PYUSD. And like, one invoice, who cares, right? But like, holy shit, like that is, EY is accepting crypto for like corporate contract payments. And so like that to me is just like, oh my God, like literally who cares about like, I'm going to pick on some people, right? Who cares about like IP on blockchain with Story Protocol, or who cares about like Aptos but an Ethereum L2 like movement, or who cares about like abundant DA space, right? Like that's all this like insular thing that's like speculative and like really just too in the trenches to be relevant for, like the incremental people that we need to come in and like the real value that happened. And just like, I'm so bullish. And then that night and then yesterday, I spent a lot of time with like true Ethereum people that, like run relays or are like working on public goods or like whatever. And man, I felt like more excited about Ethereum and like more okay with just how much of the energy in this space is and things that I personally think don't matter. Like, I can't believe I just said movement and story and didn't even look at meme coins, right? But yeah, man, at the same time that's happening, like, as I said to you, when I got on the plane to come to ETHDenver, the ETH price was 2,700. And last night I think it hit below 2,100 in like 5 days.
It's wild, man. I mean, the most charitable explanation is that we're all here in Denver, so we're not bidding because the Wi-Fi is not so good. It happens every ETHDenver, it seems like. But I've given up trying to like make heads or tails of crypto prices, because it's impossible to like assign any rationality to this market.
I actually think for the first time ever, I understand what's happening, which is,
please.
No, I mean, it's like, unfortunately or unfortunately, like whatever, it's straight up Trump, right? Like he's running yesterday. Well, he announced that like, no, the tariffs are actually coming I think he said March 4th. Sorry. So that's Tuesday, because there's still too many drugs coming across the border.
Okay. So this is a tariff dump.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and like, I'm sorry, but it's like not the right way to run a country or an economy or anything, to just be like, there's going to be tariffs. Okay, tariffs are postponed. No, wait, tariffs are back on. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And the implications are so much bigger than for ETH prices. But anyway, I won't go down the politics route. Also say is like, at least for this one time, I understand why we're taking these licks, even though I'm like really not happy about it.
I mean, what you like talk about makes sense, because like it was one of the things I mentioned in my talk when I was at the Stable Summit, which is just like any hope that we have that we're creating kind of like this alternate like financial system, it doesn't seem to be like panning out in the slightest. It seems like when the Fed sneezes, like Bitcoin and Ethereum like get fully sick.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense why that's the case, but it does. So that's just the reality, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show that, especially in this environment, like we're not anything special. Like nobody views Ethereum or even crypto as like a new paradigm and a primitive and like a change to what's going on. They look at it as like just another speculative risk asset like Nvidia or like Tesla that like when it's risk on, just like triple down and like YOLO your capital into it and it goes up and like but like I think it's impossible to interpret what's going on as the broader market understanding that crypto has value outside of Pokemon cards, you know?
So I definitely don't think that the broader market understands it, because I was talking like one of the things I always try and do is just like talk with like Uber drivers, and ask them like, hey, there's this big Ethereum conference in town.
Yeah.
What do you know about Ethereum?
Yeah.
And basically none of them have talked about smart contracts or decentralized applications or the programmability. Like to the extent they talk about it, it's just as a speculative asset, right? Like they're like, oh yeah, I bought some and then lost a lot of money, so I sold it, and like it's like it's very clear to me that like it's like they're meme coins to people, to the broader public.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
anyway, we can get back to this when we run out of like exciting things to talk about. But
yeah.
why don't we talk about our sponsor and then let's hear about the news for today?
Oh, of course, yeah. And yeah, our sponsor, Protocol FX. One of the things I didn't get a chance to shout out much was that at Stable Summit, there was a lot of really good talks, and I didn't actually get to see most of them because I was like busy. First of all, practicing for my talk because I didn't want to like disappoint Curve, that's like spending a lot of money to send me to this like event and hosting this event, and I wanted to like talk with people about Curve, and fortunately, like especially at that event, like everyone knows what Curve is. Unlike when I go to other events around the like Ethereum, ETHDenver ecosystem, like if you're like at like a NFT or whatever event, like you could just walk into a room and be like, I work at Curve, and they're like, what's that?
Yeah.
But the Stable Summit like is a lot of people said extremely high signal to noise, and I was so busy with like the speech that I was giving and the panel and then like random like stuff that I only got to like catch the very, very last two like talks. So the second to last talk was very good. It was a panel with Alan from Railgun, as well as Amin Soleimani, a few other people talking
Alan?
about privacy, which was like a really fascinating conversation, because like Alan is just like, he's great, right? Like you know Alan, like just like,
yeah. No, I didn't realize he's here. I'm going to text him right now.
oh yeah, let's get him on the stream. And then after that was Cyril from Protocol FX, which, see, my long rambling story does get back to the sponsor here. Protocol FX is great. They have basically like I opened up Twitter and like it did one of those things where it's like $5 billion in liquidations is the first tweet. And then the next tweet is like Cyril bragging like 0 liquidations on Protocol FX because they have this amazing rebalancing mechanism for their Protocol FX V2 that protects user collateral. And I didn't really understand how it worked, but hearing Cyril explain it at the ETHDenver talk was one of the clearest and like best conversations I'd heard on that topic. So Cyril, if you're listening, good job on that. And I recommend everyone go find the Stable Summit live stream and watch that, and try it out. Proof is in the pudding. A lot of people were protected yesterday.
Yeah, and I guess like just to be complete, in case this is the first time you're joining us, Protocol FX, they provide very low risk liquidatable leverage on ETH, as well as that is backed by, or that is created by also a stablecoin product. And if you're interested in either of those, there's some pretty attractive, pretty interesting things happening at this QR code.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get back to ETHDenver stuff in a bit. So you lost a lot of money on Ethereum, but the good news is you made a lot of money on Squid last night. Isn't that correct?
I did. So you need to tell me why this just showed up in my wallet. Like what, tell me about that. And then you need to teach me too, like what do I do with it? How do I get to Fractal? How do I like LP? I'm literally looking at the frax.com UI and I need your help, man. So let's talk.
Okay. No, fortunately, I am ready to answer all these questions. So the Squid drop is to thank all of the amazing guests who have been on the show. So one of the premises we have with Squid is that we're trying to actually like build a decentralized community. There's way too much news going on within Web3. Like we really drill down on the DeFi ecosystem, and even then, like there's still so much going on that like I don't know vast and massive things going on. I keep to the Curve ecosystem where that alone is enough to keep me busy full time. Meanwhile, there's like all these other amazing protocols that have all these announcements, and we said that the only way that we're going to be able to conquer this and like get into these niches is to become like the mighty Leviathan, the mighty Squid, and reach our tentacles into like all the recesses of DeFi. So we've been building out like a decentralized news curation algorithm where people can submit news. Sometimes just like, hey, I want to promote my project. Sometimes it's, hey, I found this really interesting thing. You can edit it. You can vote on it and say, no, this sucks. This should not be in the feed. And this level, like I feel like it gets interesting because it kind of resembles MEV in terms of like, how do you decide the order of transactions? Like same question. How do you decide the order of news? Like what's important and what goes through. So we're building this out, and for the longest time we've been rewarding people who had been curating our news headlines, but we had a bunch earmarked for everyone who was on the show, because there's a lot of people, like really smart people, to get their news from YouTube, from X streams. It's like just a like more entertaining and better way of distilling knowledge sometime, and it's interactive because like especially like on these you can ask questions. So we said, all right, like we're getting behind, like let's just like get this figured out. And Sam, to his eternal credit, he went through and messaged every person who's been on the show in the past 2 years and tallied up every single time they'd been on the show and issued it proportionally. And it all went live last night in like the sort of mega airdrop. It was something like 12 million Squid got sent out. You, sir, you've been a frequent guest on Leviathan, so you got a lot of this Squid.
Man, I'm feeling salty. Wait, no, that sounds bad. I'm feeling Squid-like.
Yeah, briny.
Yeah, there we go.
So, to your question about what can you do with Squid, take a look at the pinned post on the Leviathan News X, which is this. We put together a thread of a lot of resources like the Leviathan News values. This year's Substack is a really, really good resource that Sam wrote up in the newsletter, The Tentacle, talking about everything that's going on with Squid. Like, what is it? What can you do with it? What's the history of Squid? How do you earn Squid? What's its role? And most importantly, what can you do with Squid? Because we want the Squid to be useful. We want it to actually like power our news ecosystem. Some of the stuff that we're building out, like this like kind of like MEV arbitrage channel for how you get news through the pipeline, that's going to be a lot of work, right? We're not going to be able to get that right away. But some of the stuff we can get going right now. So one of which is the inaugural Squid auctions. We actually are hosting auctions on our site where you can bid using Squid on many different like things related to Leviathan or potentially beyond. I'll pull that up in just a second because the first batch of auctions is going to be closing in just about 5 minutes here. And we want to like live stream the results as they come in. But first, your question, how do you actually get Squid onto Fractal? Get ETH onto Fractal if you got Squid and you want to dump it or buy more or whatever you want to do. As it turns out, go ahead.
No, sorry, or LP.
Or LP, yes. There's a very healthy curve pool for Squid people where you could just like put in some Squid, you can put in some ETH, you can trade. It's like powered this kind of microeconomy. It's really simple. I actually hadn't visited the Frax homepage for a little bit and was surprised to see that they redesigned it with some of the rebranding stuff they're doing. If you have ETH on mainnet, you click ETH, and to send it to Fractal, you click there. And Fractal is stupid cheap, like everything in Ethereum ecosystem. So it doesn't take much. Like 0.001 is 35. What's that? Like 0.001 would be like $1 worth of ETH.
Wait, that's funny. On my UI, it has the dollar denominated under it. But yeah, I don't know. Sure.
Yeah. whatever. Yeah, it's like it's not a lot of money. But because like everything in this ecosystem is stupidly undervalued, when I deployed the entire suite of smart contracts for like this auction block, it was 4 cents. It was 4 cents. Like I'm used to deploying stuff on Ethereum where it's like $100, and I'm just like, oh, like I have to make sure this is right because I can't afford to redeploy it a million times. So this time I'm like, let me just deploy it again just for fun.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I deployed some. We spoke about this yesterday on stream with Thomas that when I was working with them on this RGUSD as part of reserve, when you're doing a new token, you have to deploy a contract, right? That was the first time I deployed anything like actually sophisticated. I spent like $1,000 on it, and I was like,
yeah, right.
Oh, this is why ETH is going to 0.
Yeah, and it's gotten better because lately Ethereum's been like 1 gwei, so I feel like I can actually play on mainnet again.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's always gonna be the case, right? Like I think at some point, maybe I'll be 95, but we'll have a bull market again, and Ethereum's gonna be like, soaring in price. Everyone's gonna be using it. Gas is gonna be 30 gwei, and I'm just gonna be like, this is awful. I can't use this.
Yeah. So, okay, I know we can go check out the announcements, like the article that you just pulled up for us, and like we can see like what the use for Squid is today, which like to be fair is like pretty light, but man,
Super
let's
light.
not like this isn't alpha or anything. I just like want to speculate and just like talk innovation with you. I mean, like when you see Squid and like let's think forward to a future where it's got like, let's say, a 7-figure market cap, right? Which sounds big from where we are, but is not like that big in crypto terms. Like, what are the types of things that you see Squid being used for? Like, do you see kind of like you have enough Squid, you stake it, then you have like maybe more editorial say, like you have the ability to pick ads, like you have the ability to maybe even like you have enough Squid, you can start your own show. Like, talk to me through like what's some of the utility that like you can foresee by having a token tied to a decentralized news service.
Yeah, so I certainly think that the curation of news it's like every way we've tried to design this, you can't come across it and solve it without some sort of staking system, right? You need some way of basically saying like, I wager that this headline is accurate and correct. You need somebody to basically be under the gun. And this could be the person who submitted the headline in the first place, or it could be the person who like most likely has like the final approval on it. But you basically need someone to basically risk something on the veracity of the headline. And then after that goes through, there has to, of course, be like a consensus mechanism that says, okay, yes, this was correct. Like Do Kwon did in fact go to prison, or no, this is incorrect. Like, this was like, massively debunked. And the way that kind of like the voting process can require like all sorts of cool stuff. But that's basically the crux of it. Like, what can you do with Squid is you can use it to kind of like oil and lubricate this news pipeline. On the show side, you'll have to talk to Sam a bit more about his plans, but we're working on things like a bounty system where you can like put a bounty towards like, I'd like so-and-so to be a guest. And if they show up as a guest, like they can get this fat stack of Squid. And just like on like a more practical note, like, do you know like the way newspapers used to make money back when they were like the only like source of information?
I'm selling, like literally selling the paper.
Is classified ads. Like they got all their money from classified ads. And I don't want to go like the Silk Road route where we're selling drugs and things like that. But I think that like we could actually like use this auction system we've built out to like start to populate like the ability for like degens to market things to other degens. Like, hey, try our protocol, or like get some test tokens or something. Anyway, let's talk about the results, because there's 2.5 minutes left, and that means we were within this window where if anyone bids either of these auctions are going to get extended by an extra 5 minutes. And I'm probably just going to bid on this one, by the way. So the first auction, which we'll talk about in a second, this is someone's going to be a guest on a llama party, and it's only $23 to do that, which is like stupid cheap, in my opinion. And you know, like I don't know who this person is. They kind of came in. They're holding some of the Fractal project real world abs. So I'm hoping it's the Fractal real world abs project. If this is you bidding, by the way, make a comment. I'm just thrilled that someone wants to party with me for this, because if we didn't get any bids on this, I was just going to take the day off and be like, all right, you know, you bozos had your chance.
No,
But this one's like legit. Like this one is. Let me just bid on it right now. I'm going to show you guys how to get rich here, because this is like the easiest free money in the world. So I'm going to take this top bid here. For just 2,835 squid, I can basically double the squid I earned from curating headlines for this past month. And when I look at, I go to the bot, I type the points command, and I can see I am on track for currently 21,000 squid. So I'm going to get a bonus 20,000 squid for 3,000 squid here. Like this is like a no-brainer.
damn, sorry. You can tell that I'm not really paying attention because I'm like clicking around the Frax site frantically trying to figure out how to get gas to Fraxel.
Might be too late. Might be too late.
No. All right. Well, next I need to prepare better, but damn, man. So very exciting. I mean, I have to say this is a pretty impressive just like piece of technology here. And like, yeah, I mean, I think these are both pretty basic like concepts of just like, okay, like you can bid to be a guest, or, you know, this point boost is pretty cool, but you know, this is like a framework to auction like all sorts of stuff. So question for you is like, do you have anything like not in the immediate term, but more long-term that you think like this kind of thing could be like interesting for, like above and beyond classifieds, but just like what can we do because it's crypto, because it's real, like because we're doing this in a different way where like contributors are getting paid via Squid, and then we have this auction system. Like, I don't know, man. I guess I just like want. Oh wait, no, hold on. Pause for a second. Let's celebrate the auction ended. We have a new first auction, new guest.
And let me just like point out a fun little thing about this auction here. Whoever it was that bid this, let me pull this tab up. This was using our Zap functionality. So they were not paying for this in Squid. They didn't have any Squid. They bid on this using wrapped Ethereum on Fractal. It traded through the curve pool automatically on the website into Squid and placed the bid using Squid. This is one of the functions that we came up with. And I'm thinking that like as Squid gets more and more difficult to acquire, more and more precious, this is going to potentially lead to buying pressure for Squid. So I'm pretty excited about this as a like built-in feature. If we get some auctions that are truly competitive, that pool is super small, so it would not take a lot to get a competitive auction that like just start like skyrockets things.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think you know, I don't know how bullish I am on this specifically as like a supply sync for Squid, just because like look, you can see the WETH button right there next to it. But yeah, man, I think there's like kind of two ways that things happen in crypto, right? One is like we build hype, we like get like VCs involved, like we see number go up, that causes FOMO, like I don't know, meme coins, right? And then the other way is that we just like throw something out there, we build utility, and then we just start showing the real utility, and like over time the market rewards that. And like I think the best example of that is Aave, right? Which of course they've had their like meme cycles for sure, but but it is you just got outbid, my friend.
Bid coming in hot right there. Well, I told you that this is worth 20,000 Squid for me, people. So feel free to play this game. OX7457.
And when you like the traditional auction system, right? So when you miss the when like your bid gets overtaken, like you get that your Squid back, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have to claim it at the end. But yes. If you lose the auction, you get the Squid back. The winning Squid goes to the multi-sig, so we can we've got plans for what we can do with it. Actually, like I kind of didn't answer your question earlier about like what you can do with this auction system, but you know, if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with the like llamas mechanic of auctions, and we literally just took the llama's auction house and repurposed it into a much more flexible framework to build this out. So we did certain things like we built like an auction directory, which could allow for customizable auctions. So we could, for example, launch through this like Dutch auctions or double blind auctions or all sorts of like crazy auction strategies, as well as the ability to configure the parameters, which was not quite as configurable with llamas. And this zap functionality. Right now, we've just programmed in WETH, but at some point we're going to get like Frax USD, Curve USD, etc. But the reason that I'm excited about this is because I cited like classified ads for newspapers, but like whatever, newspapers are like kind of a dead business. Before I was in crypto, I was working at a ad tech startup, and like the entire ad tech world is powered by real-time auctions. Like when you go to the New York Times, that banner, the right to serve you Rex an ad, is basically put up to an instantaneous auction. All the people who want to serve you an ad like will bid at that second, and whoever wins that will get the right to serve you an ad. And the ad world, like it is what it is. It's like a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. It has a lot of problems, attribution, fraud in particular. And even from like the earliest days when I was talking with people who were in this industry, they said, well, like it's like it could be solved with the blockchain system, but there was never really any way to do it because the kind of ad world, you kind of like, if you look back to the early days of Google, like you need the supply and you need the demand. And it was like very difficult to balance both of these because, crypto was just too small. Like even like our like live stream, there's like a few hundred people. They're super influential people, but it's tiny, and advertising is usually like a numbers game. Now, that being said, I think that like the power of what you could do with crypto wallet-based advertising is way more substantial than what you can do so like Google, like their big thing was like, okay, what people are typing for, I need a lawyer. That's the signal. Facebook's like, okay, like we're going to up this by saying like, I know that you like, you like playing soccer, you like cherry Coke. So like, we like know more about you because of what you've revealed for preference-based targeting. With crypto, like you get way more information because you know the person's wallet, you know every token they have, you know every L transaction they've made. Once people start paying with crypto, you'll have their entire like transaction history. It's kind of scary. But like the amount of like advertising we're going to be able to like pinpoint is going to be pretty incredible. So I'm hoping that this can power like advertising on Leviathan, but we can actually build it into an ad platform that's big enough to power advertising throughout the entire Web3 industry.
Yeah, man. I just think, so one of the things, like going back to the takeaway from ETHDenver and like the bullishness that I feel when my phone is off and I'm not looking at the price, is just like there are real people that are starting to use crypto to like solve things, to like actually do things in the real world. And like why I'm particularly interested in what's going on with Squid and Leviathan is because like at the end of the day, like we're trying to do something here, right? Like we're trying to figure out a way to do news in this space that is like so chaotic and like such low, right? I think low signal to noise ratio, that like, and then we're trying to figure out a way to incorporate the technology that we believe in into the process. And so like, I think what's going to like bring us out of this like slump, and what is going to, if not be like the main narrative of this bull market, but the next one is like crypto is graduating into becoming a tool that like facilitates real business, and is like less an end in itself and more means to an end. And I don't think we're like quite there with Leviathan and with Squid, but what I find very bullish is just like the attempt, to use crypto to change how business works.
I'm just doing some on-chain sleuthing here to see who my opponent is. And if you're watching this opponent, you should pop into the Telegram chat. One of the things that was great about the Llamas chat is like just chatting with people and seeing these bids. Right here in this corner, you can see the auction Telegram chat. You can click on that and it goes to a Telegram group where we got a bot hooked up. The bot's actually super sophisticated. You can bid using the bot. You can auto bid using the bot. So you can set the price you'd like to be at, and it'll just like incrementally get you there. You have to set some approvals and get it set up, but it's like really slick. Anyway, it looks like they don't have enough squid to beat me. They only seem to have like 5,800 squid left, so I think this one's in the tank for me.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh wait, there's a new bidder, OX6C46. Okay. Oh, wait a second. This sounds familiar.
Man, your brain might be a little broken when Ethereum addresses sound familiar that aren't yours.
I spent all last night and this morning like going through the spreadsheet and getting everyone's getting everything finalized. So like there's quite a few that yeah, this is Logarithmic Rex right here. So it's like just the two of us.
Man,
Now,
sounds like an attractive individual.
I don't think that this is actually a good bid for you, to be honest.
No, I know. I didn't read until later. It says does not apply to points earned for appearing on the show.
So the reason people are listening is Rex is like cleaned up in terms of like earning points on the show. But it says right there in the fine print that you don't get the multiplier for appearing on the show. You only get multiplier for like doing news tasks. So if I type in...
Yeah, and even worse, it says through the month of February, and I did not submit anything this February. So I have today.
You have today to basically like keep up with like people who have been doing this all month long. Let's hope it's a like huge news day. Well, part of me wants to yeah, you've earned 0 so far, so 0 times 2 is 0.
Hey, listen, I'm doing my part to take supply off the market.
There we go. I appreciate it. I mean, as much as I want to win this, I kind of want to
No.
just leave you holding the bag here because that's way more fun.
Damn it.
We'll see if OX74 is your white knight here.
Yeah, we'll see. But damn, look, I mean, between the two of us, I mean, we're a significant number of these bids, but there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 13 bids. I think I was only 2. So I don't know, man. That seems kind of organic. No, I was 3.
Well, we're still just getting started. I think a lot of people don't know how to bridge to Frax still, which, as you saw, just go to frax.com, super easy. Even then, if you did want to bridge to Fractal, like you just started now, it might be too late, right? And well, then it's also
if you bid, then you'll give the people more time.
It's also 7 in the morning, so like a lot of the West Coast hasn't even woken up. A lot of Asia's already asleep, and some people don't even know they got a squid drop. They're just like having to go to their job thinking they're still poor, and then they're going to get home and check their wallet and be like, "Oh no, I can retire."
Yeah, that's what crypto does for you. Man, all right, well, let's see if this burns out with
1 minute and 42 seconds left. You feeling the heat?
So, do you have plans for more auctions?
Yes. We're going to do like full-on Squid Pass most likely. The Squid Pass was like basically giving like a month of control or I think it was a week of control over like a variety of Leviathan ad inventory, like the pinned post on Twitter, pinned post on Telegram, which our Telegram channel is up to 20,000 subscribers, by the way. Like it's getting kind of legit.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when this started over 2 years ago. I don't know. I think the first Discord message was over 2 years ago. And I mean, the idea that you could build an audience of 20,000, it's just not conceivable. Oh, Garrett. Thank God. I thought I was going to do it.
I got to do it.
I thought I was going to have to tell me familia.
You're off the hook. It's real money to me. And as much as like
you have actual ROI. I was just looking to burn wealth.
As much as it's like fun to spend $12 to see you lose, like I'd rather it be a positive sum game, right?
Anyway, while we kind of sit here and watch the 5 minute keep rolling over.
Oh yeah, should we get back to ETHDenver? Like what's left that you're excited for at ETHDenver, if anything?
I will say So, you and I both went to the actual convention yesterday, and it is impossible for me to not be a little sad. Like every year that I go, it is like it's less dense, and I mean that both from the amount of people at the convention and the like number of booths. Like even the footprint within the convention center gets smaller and smaller every year. And this year, like there are kind of like entire sections where there's like one booth, and then there's like space for like 2 or 3 booths, and they're just empty. And I don't I don't really know what that's a reflection of. I mean, obviously, like price hurts, and like our prices today are lower than they were the entire year of 2024. So, like, I get it from that standpoint. But and also the other thing that's going on too is like the side event meta is getting so out of hand that like I don't even know where to go to see my friends when I come to these conferences anymore. And so I don't I don't really know how sustainable the conference meta is. This isn't just a problem with ETHDenver. Like I noticed this at ECC last year, and even some of the smaller ones. Like I just maybe like when the bull markets come, there's enough money and like this problem and interest and like new people coming that this problem solves itself. But I'm like a little bit nervous,
Yeah, I hear that. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm nervous. So like, I've always felt that like ETH Denver is like a bit of a choose your own adventure. And like 90% of what's going on in Ethereum, maybe 95%, I don't care about. Um, and it's like just really amazing to me how like I can go into 2 different events, and I go into one, and if it's like a DeFi focused event, like I know most of the people, they know me, like they know Curve, like I talk to them about Curve, and like they're super bullish. They usually already know a lot about it. And then I walk into a completely different room, and I'm like, I work at Curve, and they're like, curb your enthusiasm, or like, like, and they just have never heard of it. And like that's also useful because like I will tell them about everything Curve is doing and all that. But they're not going to be a user, right? Like if they haven't heard of it yet, they're not a DeFi like native. So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that, so I'm incredibly bullish on DeFi. I think it has like real utility, and especially if you believe in like the DeFi mullet concept, like I do think that that is a powerful way that, people will interact with what we're building here.
mhm.
Question for you is, do you think that DeFi is ever going to return to the kind of games that we saw during Curve's rise with like the bribing and all that stuff? Like, do you think that those are interesting primitives that are going to stand the test of time and like kind of continue to show up and evolve in new protocols? Or do you think that that was just like kind of a meta that somewhat played out, and things are going to evolve and look different than they have in the past?
So what I'll say to that is I got Barra pilled yesterday by Wajahat.
Mhm.
Wajahat is like also like a hefty Squid owner at this point, so he's probably like cruising off in the sunset in his like newly purchased yacht right now. But he like was asking me what I thought about Barra chain, and I thought it was a meme chain, to be honest, right? Like because I saw pictures of the Barra coin party, and they're like people wearing like giant bear heads, and I'm like, this is not a serious thing. And then he told me what was going on Barachain. I was like, oh my gosh, this is legit. And then he went on to say, like, did you know that their entire like mechanics is based on like the entire like VECRV premise of how their chain works, like with the bribing and the like incentives like flowing around. And I was like, and he, his thesis was like every curve maxi he thought was going to be like a super big Barachain maxi. And ooh, I win.
All right, let's take a moment. First successful Leviathan auctions. Garrett, I think you deserve a victory lap here. Like, holy shit, the technology behind this, it's impressive. So congratulations on winning your multiplier. And man, I'm just like super excited to see what else we can do with this kind of system.
Oh yeah. And speaking of Wajahat, he is. We were talking, and we're gonna have one of the next auctions be that he is going to do either for whoever buys this, like let's call it the Wajahat Pass or something. If you win it, you can either request that he do a video about a specific topic, or like be a guest with on a live stream with him. So like there are a lot of people who are like super face shy in this space and like don't want to dox, right? But like, you know, you could be like, hey, like let's do an hour about Fartcoin or whatever. You win the pass. And he's like totally into it. So like expect there's gonna be a Wajahat Pass coming up for auction pretty soon. And when it happens, we'll do one of these.
And sorry, before we return to ETHDenver, so for those wondering, if you bid on something and you lost, how do you reclaim your squid?
So you talked about like what an amazing technical achievement it is, and it is, but I would give more credit to the Win Llamas team as well as to Johnny Online and the anonymous front end dev, who really did a lot more work in terms of making this like look gorgeous and functional. But that being said, I don't believe either of them has hooked up the withdraw functionality. So in order to get your money back, I will have to walk you through a series of transactions you can do on the smart contract to settle the auction and claim your funds back.
Okay, well,
but we're going to do that on chain.
Me too.
Although I will post these instructions as well to the other bidders so they can get their squid back. But there's no expiration time on it. There's no hurry. You can just kind of sit in there and chill, and eventually you'll get your squids back.
Cool. Okay, so Berachain, you were saying?
Well, yeah. So that was your question about like, is the DeFi meta played out? But like, there have been precisely 2 really like huge chains people have been hyping while I've been here. One is Sonic, and the other is Berachain. And this was Feig's point in the panel we were on, which is like DeFi is not dead. It's just that the epicenter of activity is like moving to certain places, and you have to be in the right rooms if you want to be like part of this DeFi meta. But it's like very much alive. And Berachain, like from my understanding, just in this like brief conversation I had, is like basically using like the glory tactics of DeFi summer to like architect the like how their entire chain is constructed. And they have a ton of like huge DeFi primitives on there. That's where like we were talking with Corey from Dolomite yesterday. Like that's where they decide to migrate everything to. And Corey's as heavyweight as it gets when it comes to like DeFi brains in this space.
Yeah, I will say like one of like I've said this like a trillion times, right? I joined crypto in 2021, and I remember January, February of 2022. I was a Super Bowl and lost so much money in Ohm. But one of the things I remember being in that community was there was a call for this like new VC pitch that they wanted Olympus to invest into, and I was like, okay, that's kind of like what is any of this? And it was these guys that were talking about how like proof of liquidity is this new primitive, and they're going to build a chain around it. And I can't remember if they were using Berachain as like the branding or not. But that was my introduction to it like 3 years ago now. 3 years ago now. And like, I honestly didn't even hear about the bong bears and the rebasing NFTs until like months and months later. And it didn't even occur to me that they were really like correlated. So it's like definitely a funny, it's funny how like these things work. And like, I'll be frank with you, I am incredibly concerned with the concept of proof of liquidity in terms of like a stable way to provide economic security to an L1 chain. Like the point of staking, it was to like lock this stuff out of supply to create like stable economic security. And like what proof of liquidity inherently does is like say, you know, all that volatility that happens in crypto prices, like let's actually bake it into the security of our chain. But like, just to be honest with you, man, I also like sometimes I really question just how much crypto economic security is like a meme. And like, I would just kind of love to know, when are the times in the history of crypto where like crypto economic security actually protected us from something, as opposed to just like being this like number that we throw out, like a X billion ETH stake. That means if you were to attack it, like you would lose this much. Like, is that even a real risk? I don't know. So also say is like the point of crypto is experimentation. And like, even though these experiments can get to like 4 or 5 or 10 billion, like I support it. And like, let's see this play out. But yeah, man, it's definitely been a journey, and it's like, it's just cool to see that there's still energy in some places. And I have to ask this because I asked everyone, all of our guests yesterday. I want to ask you, like, how do you feel about the like vibrant energy of DeFi as of today has moved out of Ethereum? Like that to me, that's like concerning.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, a number of points I want to get to. First off, we got word in the Auction Live Telegram channel from the dev of the bot himself, Mr. the Great Johnny Online, that you actually can withdraw through the bot. So,
Look at that.
just go ahead and link the bot up, and you'll be able to get your money back just like that. If you don't want to wait for me to give instructions. So, very exciting news. The other points that you brought up, like one is like this is just like a related question to put in the back of your mind, is this question of economic security when it comes to Ethereum. Because one of the things that's wild is like there's so many stable coins being minted, and at a certain point, like how low, like what's the number? Maybe you've run the math. Like how low does ETH price need to get before like someone can just buy up a majority stake of like all the ETH staking nodes, control like enough and redirect all the stable coins to themselves. Like I get that wouldn't happen. Like I get that like the banks would not honor the transactions, but like at what point like are these stable coins like under risk of something like a 51% attack?
Well, I mean, man, that's like a really, really profound question because like, okay, so I think part of the meme of crypto economic security is that if you ever wanted to buy up enough like of the base asset, but let's just say ETH to do that attack, like that inherently would cause so much buy pressure that you would probably price yourself out.
True.
So like I think that's an interesting dynamic. Also, there's the interesting dynamic of like it takes time to stake ETH. And like in this scenario, like it's not like you could go buy up all the ETH or like the rocket pool ETH, right? You actually need it on your validators because you're going to run malicious code on your validators. But let's say you do all that, you gain 67% of ETH stake, and you are like in control of the network. And then you say like, okay, every USDC and USDT on chain, send to my address, and then I'm going to go try to redeem that for dollars. Obviously, the banks are going to say no. Like obviously,
right.
And then the question is, well, if the banks can just say no, right? Like, what is Ethereum? Is her crypto economic security?
Yeah, no, I get your point that like the buy pressure would not make it possible. If, but like just hypothetically, if you could do an OTC deal, we're only talking about 177 billion dollars to buy all of Ethereum is the current market price.
All right, your brain has been broken by numbers. The fact you just said only, but no, but
well, I own Squid, so I'm fine.
But seriously though, like let's imagine someone has that much money and captures the stake and like makes that transaction where they steal everyone's money and the banks just say no. Like, doesn't that kind of like show that the emperor has no clothes in terms of like this permissionless, trustless, decentralized settlement network?
It also means that if you wanted to like, if you wanted to fork Ethereum, because you felt that like there was something wrong with the chain and you convinced enough people to join you, it doesn't matter if USDC and Tether say no.
Yeah,
they can decide which chain is canonical. They could just be like, nope, we're not accepting your new fork.
Yeah. So I mean, I really does like draw into question like what does crypto economic security mean? You know, especially when there's so much value in these, because like for like Maker or even Frax, right? Like they would be at the whims of this like hypothetical attacker who has so much stake that they, right? Because like they live within the EVM. And so if the rules of the EVM are decided by someone who's doing something, like there's not a lot of recourse. But I don't know. I mean, in fairness to every yapper on crypto Twitter, I know we've had this conversation like a billion times. The stablecoin issuers are the ones who decide like what the canonical L1 is. But I don't know.
Wild is what it is.
What?
It's just wild is what it is. Because, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. What was though the other question you had is like, what does it like mean that like DeFi is moving off of Ethereum? Now it doesn't like I don't worry about that too much because I still think. Okay, so I think that like everything gets copied in this space, right? So if our auctions start doing really good, especially because it's like open source, like someone's just going to fork it, and a million people will fork it, and that's fine. Like that's how it is. I still think that the like epicenter of DeFi innovation will remain Ethereum for many reasons, but I think like the kind of like there's been a lot of talk about like, is it right to do this? Is it right to push all the activity to L2s, or like, is it more proper to have it on Ethereum mainnet? And whatever the right answer to that is, it sort of doesn't matter, because it's like that both are solutions that help Ethereum, whichever way the debate goes. Like,
right, yeah, I
no
agree
one,
with that.
like maybe at some point, like because Berachain's its own L1, right? Like,
yeah.
So maybe at some point they have like a vast network of L2s, or maybe they don't need it. I don't know. Like I don't know anything about Berachain other than 10-minute conversation. But like, like Ethereum has a huge advantage that if it wants to like have a whole constellation of app chains and like rollups, that it pushes activity to where it's like most useful and figures out ways to like scale that and like deal with all that. Like the innovations are going to flow first to Ethereum. Like the only one that like I think might be a serious rival to Ethereum is Bitcoin DeFi, of which there's actually been a good amount of like you and I met at the Corn Hub yesterday. Corn being a very interesting like Bitcoin L1, I think, or L0. And I think it's EVM compatible, and like they have like a Curve Finance deployment there, and we're going to see if we can get like they're doing really cool stuff, and they had Lil Jon apparently last night, which I didn't see. But what was I got derailed. The like just the fact that like Bitcoin has such an enormous market cap, and if there starts to get like some like Bitcoin type Ethereum experiences where people who like Bitcoin maximalists who hate Ethereum would not touch Ethereum, but like are willing to like bring their massive amounts of wealth out of cold storage and start playing DeFi games. I think they like Bitcoin DeFi only needs like really primitive applications before like that like DeFi fire gets started in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin DeFi could pretty quickly flip in Ethereum DeFi.
But yeah, I hear you on the Bitcoin stuff. Like honestly, the thing about the Bitcoin L2s is like I have not ever been convinced that those are like true L2s, and in the sense that you can like force withdrawals and force smart contract execution from the base layer. So like if someone can convince me of that, then I'm like, okay, yeah. That
even tougher, you have to convince Bitcoin maximalists of it, because Bitcoin maximalists like are unwilling to trust their Bitcoin to like nearly anything, which makes sense.
So Bitcoin for me is like this whole question mark. And I hear you that like Ethereum still is like by TVL, by activity, like the home base for DeFi, and like probably will remain so. But I do just worry that the enthusiasm, right, and the energy and like the excitement, if it moves away from Ethereum, like that's a leading indicator, right? Like innovation and like new stuff goes to where we heard Thomas and Aham and Corey and Adam say it yesterday, like they go to where the users are. And like today the users are not at Ethereum, and like that's fine, right? But it's not fine if that continues.
Yeah, I guess like I'm trying to debate like, especially because we're talking about like fintech essentially, where like we have 80-20 rules heavily in effect, and like 99-1 rules even more so. Like if you're talking about like nearly any like if you're talking about users, like 90% of people are like you pointed out like yesterday in the live stream, like very, very poor, living paycheck to paycheck. If that they don't have money to play DeFi games. Like when you're talking about DeFi games, like you're like, yes, there are like users, but like there's not like a huge amount of users. You get like you can build much more in DeFi with like 1 or 2 whales than with 1,000 like or 10,000 or 50,000 users. So I guess like I get that like users is an important metric, but we've seen what user focused like crypto looks like, and it's like the meme coin casinos of Solana. We've seen that like meanwhile like you can have just like you could have like Ethereum be like not as heavily used, but still controlling like 90% of the wealth, and 10% of the wealth on Solana, but it's all like just like games and I don't know. I probably shouldn't judge.
And maybe your point is like, okay, are you talking about users? Like me just like yeeting like $40 into like some Sonic farm and seeing what happens? Or are we talking about users like PayPal paying EY and PYUSD? And like, I don't think there's any risk of PayPal like moving to Berachain. Sorry.
Exactly. It might happen. I mean, PYUSD is on Berachain as BYUSD, but but
yeah, but I mean, in terms of like using it as
exactly.
like a legitimate tool for their business. Yeah,
like 15 major institutions is not a like heavy number of users, but like the like huge footprint relative to like a million like users, but they're each putting like pennies in slot machines. I mean, both of their place. Now, I do think we want to get Ethereum building applications that are not strictly financial, right? So that like you can capture the users, but that's just not where like the market is right now. So,
yeah, for sure. All right, man, we're coming up on the hour. Is there any other like topics you think we should talk about while we're still got some time?
None I can think of. The only thing I'd mention is that like one of the things I'm trying to do while I'm here in ETHDenver is I'm trying to like talk to everyone about Curve, of course, but like if there is L2s in particular that are interested in learning about Curve deployment, that's like now that I actually have like free time, that's my focus for the next few days. So you and anyone who's listening can point me in the direction of L2s that might benefit from Curve, and it'd be great to have those conversations.
Well, what is the lift to get like Curve on L2? I mean, talk to me about that in terms of course, there's like deployment and someone needs to like keep an eye on it just to like make sure the technology is running. But
I mean, you can just deploy a Curve Lite instance yourself. So you could go on the command line, type in a couple of commands, and within seconds have a Curve deployment. But there's a difference between like having a Curve deployment on your chain and having kind of like the like full Curve experience in terms of like first of all, like what everyone really wants is they want to be in the Curve UI, because Curve is a gorgeous UI. You click the button and like there's a list of maybe a few dozen L2s at this point. And it's like a great signal when like whenever I like look at like a new chain, which I almost never play on L2s, but if I do, like I want to see if there's like basic things there, right? Is there stable coins? Is there like Curve? Is there Aave? Is there like like all the apps and like all the tokens I'm familiar with? It's a huge like vote of confidence if you actually do have that kind of stuff there. So so like the ability to get it on the UI and the ability to like get Curve to help co-incentivize and things like that, like that's a negotiation with the Curve business development director. But it's like very possible and very easy to do. So talk to me.
How, like, what does it take to get CRV emissions on your L2?
So you basically have to like reconfigure some. You have to like have like I think it's called like a gauge emitter contract on the mainnet that is like writing the weights, and then you like have a like similar contract on the L2. I don't think that's included by default in the Curve Lite deployment. I need to check. I think that the Curve Lite deployment allows you to put your own token in there, but it doesn't. I need to check. Like it doesn't have the it doesn't have the out of the box capability of dealing with the Curve boosts on the sidechain. So,
and what about like, could you imagine a world where Curve is deployed on Berachain or on Sonic? And if so, like, would it be just like kind of an isolated piece of technology that uses the same technology, or could it be hooked into the greater Curve ecosystem, including the UI and the CRV emissions and that kind of stuff?
So I'm glad you brought up Sonic, because that is actually like the coolest use case that I've seen in quite a long time for Curve. And I will go ahead and share what I'm talking about here, because look at this like pool. Like, doesn't this look like madness? There's like 8 tokens in here. And what this is AWA, who we've had in the show in the past. They built out this protocol called Cross Curve, where they're using Curve pools to essentially like be able to take this, and they have a few other tokens, and quickly bridge them to any chain and use this Sonic like mega pool for like holding the Curve, or they have USDC and USDT, I think. And their app is like really good. like you can bridge super quickly, and it's all powered by the infrastructure on their deployment here on Sonic. So they were actually like really early to this question of how do you build out on other chains.
And so there is it's on Sonic, like Curve is on Sonic, and
Yes, Curve's
everyone's
on Sonic.
leaving Ethereum. God damn it. Well, I mean, yeah, very cool. And again, the most important thing for anyone building is to like be where the activity is and the users are. And just because they're there today, it has like no real like forecasting power to say like where things are going to be in like a month or 2 months or 2 years or 10 years. So like, I'm not particularly worried that there's like a lot of energy in Berachain and Sonic right now. I mean, they're both new things and like made by famous people that are like posting about them, and it makes sense, right? It totally makes sense. It's just like, watch this space.
Yeah, and I might do some shopping, honestly. Like, it's been a long time since I bought tokens, but like this latest dip, I don't know, something about it feels like it's like dipped too far.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, everything does feel like capitulated, but like the reality is with where geopolitics are, it's like I don't really know where the bottom is.
Yeah, I mean, I could only guess how that situation resolves. I do recall that one of the lessons from 2000 was that when there's like a ton of like craziness happening in Washington D.C. and everyone's like super glued to that, those can be the times when like people aren't paying attention to crypto and it runs. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen again, but I could definitely see a world, because people keep telling me that like, oh my God, I can't stop paying attention to the news. And I've just happened to be super busy, so I haven't like paid super close attention to the news, but it is possible. And it's when people are like so like distracted with all this stuff going on in the news that like kind of the crazy stuff can happen in crypto. And at the same time, like they are like incredibly bullishly signaling a green light for crime is legal now, to the point where it's actually like almost going too far in terms of like encouraging scams. But that's another story.
Yeah. Let's save that for the next stream.
For sure, man. All right,
Cool,
Rex.
man.
I'll probably bump into you several times before we bounce. So, but good to catch up with you in 2D before we do so again in 3 dimensions.
Of course, man. And congratulations on the successful conclusion of this first auction, and just super excited to see, like we see the baby steps. Like I can't wait to see what it looks like when we're full sprinting.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone who is bidding on it, please send your feedback along so we can improve the process and continue to build it out. So, all right, Squiddos, we will catch you all on the next tide.